Welcome back to Spider-Man Into Time.
Joe, don't how do you really feel?
Can I mention how it's annoying how now we'll be seeing flashing pictures of Mary Jane and company now for given
Actually, Jova, those
just
have been a thing
stuff.
pretty much since the first time I used the time crash maneuver.
I know, but now they're just appearing sporadically.
That's because the time story is getting worse.
Okay.
If you pay attention to the previous part, after discovering the identity, we'll call it Atrocity, Miguel even hazarded a guess and said that, if we just chug that into the portal again, the entire time stream will fix itself.
Totally! It's not like it could possibly wreck time even more.
Not just that, never mind the fact that that thing was stuck in the portal until this point.
Yeah.
So,
and if anything, it being stuck in there was what was causing a lot of issues.
Okay, so yeah, it's like I said, we're basically in the facility of Gears 2 now at this point. Like,
also, gotta love how these mutants pretty much look the same. 90.
Sorry, Jonah?
Gotta love how these mutants that we're getting rid of look all pretty similar to how they look in the future.
Yeah.
Like, I guess, was there really much work
We'll
even
get preserved
done
in
on
90 years.
20 years.
You know, are these even real people that were experimented on? Is there
Does that matter? At this point, I don't even know.
I love how Spider-Man is like, I gotta protect people, but there's no moral dilemma about killing these guys.
Oh, so again, it's just like in Gears 5.
Again,
I
get it, you know, time and place, and this will technically all be, wiped out of the timeline and all that. But you're telling me that Spider-Man doesn't have a potential guilt complex of killing what could potentially look like people? Because, let me remind you, those do look rather humanoid. They have literal human skin on there. Like, for all you know, those are people being experimented on.
I guess we're going on the logic. I guess I'm going on the logic where we'll fix the time stream so any of these will be reversed at the end.
At the very least, you'd think that they would at least say that. And, it's not like, all Marvel are averse to killing here and there. Some do kill when necessary.
Yeah,
Spider-Man is kind of one of those guys who tries not to kill often, though.
This is starting to sound like a really bad comic book plot.
God, I love that line. Honestly, that cartoon...
Hey guys, do you want some more padding? Because we surely have it. Basically, now we're in the experimental room with a teleport in it.
Yeah, no, think about it.
And the person who has the key to the next room is the one who's going to use it. So Spidey will have to fix this shit and teleport himself, Peter, in order to get it. So more padding. Go on, Peter.
Yeah, now that I think about it, Jova, the 90s cartoon did a better multiple Peter storyline than this game did.
Oh, heck yeah. It was pretty much, there...
It was the series finale, so...
It didn't have to be, but obviously,
remember his life philosophy, Jova. You can't have nice things. You cannot.
It really
you
does
cannot.
hurt, though. Instead, we got Spider-Man Unlimited.
Fun is not allowed. Fun is not allowed.
No fun allowed.
Exactly.
I mean, this game would probably be at least a couple of hours shorter if a lot of the nonsense was removed.
Shira. If we remove the nonsense from this game, there would be no game.
Then make a comic book?
Like, remove the nonsense. No, sure, that's the flaw in your plan. Remove the nonsense parts. Well, the entire game is nonsense. If we remove all the nonsense parts, there is no game left.
Also, apparently in the far future of 2099, there are no toasters. Weird.
You know what they say, Teo. All toasters toast.
Well, considering how in some fiction I've seen how toasters act, that's a blessing.
Lips to completely wipe out toasters in general, though.
Well, hey, at least the toasters won't. At least it won't be like in Red Dwarf, where the toasters keep asking you non-stop, "Would you like any toast?"
Well, yeah, but the idea is just stick with the original toaster that worked.
Some of them may even become your best friend.
Like a brave little toaster.
Yeah,
like I said, all the others will be like, "Would you like some toast? Would you like some toast?" I'm like, shut up.
Well, Weaves, what do you think is worse? These toaster asking constantly if you want toaster, or the fourth doctor constantly asking if you want a jelly baby?
There's something charming about how Tom Baker does it.
Also,
But-
Ribs, if you're built for the specific purpose of making toast and you're sentient and you're not making toast, what are you even living for?
Well,
I mean, that's
it's that Rick and Morty joke with the knife thing. You pass the butter.
The character Talkie Toaster in Red Dwarf asked that to himself and the others as well, and that was back in 1988. So,
Yeah.
Okay, Miguel, we get it. Jesus.
God, I
Not just
fucking
that,
hate you.
Not just that, this particular sequence is one time only in the game. That's the only occasion where Peter has to use this particular teleporter thing, and it's tacked on at the end of the game out of nowhere. Talk about being desperate.
Hey, it's like that one time we had a wormhole for Miguel to jump into.
Yeah, I know, right?
And Miguel tries to lecture Peter about just jumping into things. Miguel, you jumped into a wormhole that, for all you know, could have propelled you into the Stone Ages.
You're making you're making Miguel from the second Captain America movie look competent. Like it's just basically Dwibs. There's the villain of the second Red Brown Captain America movie is a guy called Miguel, and he's played by Christopher Lee for reasons that I have yet to understand.
Yeah.
Whoa, Christopher Lee was in a lot of.
Christopher Lee kind of had a soft love in making bad movies.
Yeah.
He was just enjoying acting.
Makes sense.
Reminder, again, he's in that the Howling 2 Stirba Werewolf Beach, and he takes his role completely seriously, to the point where he can be considered the real protagonist.
But yeah, Shiroi, again, your plan would work about as well as trying to make a David Cage game without the stupid parts. It just doesn't work.
And there you go. We're back again where we started, and we just need to get through the door. We can even ignore the enemies on the way. So what the
David
fuck was the
Cage
point?
He could what?
David Cage could very easily be picked up for a Netflix original series. Just saying, he could leave the gaming industry alone.
Yeah, seriously, why hasn't he tried that?
Spirit Riding 3 is on Netflix.
Because he suck at that too. Besides,
Considering
remember-
how Black Mirror implemented a sort of choose your own adventure game, quote unquote, for Netflix, I wouldn't see too far-fetched for David Cage applying his own shtick.
No.
I mean, Jova. Besides, as we learned recently, Netflix do have standards. Remember, they outright refused to have Holmes and Watson on their service instead of being a theatrical release because they knew it was a stinker.
Oh,
But they allow
Holmes and
Spirit
Watson.
Riding 3.
And Tall Girl. It's
Their standards are weak.
unfortunately, Shiroi, it's too late by this point because remember, he has built, for as much as it baffles me, he has built a Quantic Dream fan base for almost 15 years by this point. 1998 would be like.
Although, I'll be quite honest, Quantum Dream have been rather.
No, 20 years. Yeah, over 20 years of building up a Quantic Dream fan base, Shiroi. So at this point, it's not that big of a fan base. Don't get me wrong, but it's still a fan base. So at this point, yes, he has people to cater to. So I don't think he can afford that at this point. But go ahead.
Oh,
Shogo.
he could very well afford to. I mean, anyone who's loyal enough to him for that would probably be loyal enough to go to Netflix with it. But I'll be quite honest.
Well, what about the game designers that are working under him though? He would probably fire them if he were to finish Quantic Dream though.
Oh right, he actually has game designers. Well,
someone has to actually program the game. For as little gameplay as there is, programming is required
I mean,
still.
it's his vision, but other people have to actually make it.
well, honestly, I don't even know what he's doing nowadays. Like, Quantum Dream has been gone.
Well, remember they made a deal. Remember the Sony ended the contract with them, and for again, it's
for good reason.
because of the controversy around David Cage's questionable way he runs the company. Sony basically quietly stepped away from Quantic Dream, and not
I'm
Quantic.
surprised they did that at all, to be honest. But
Sony thankfully has standards.
Well, sure. Sorry.
We're almost at the tail end. Peter is now directing Atrocity to the floor, which leaves Miguel to confront the CEO before directing himself towards the portal room.
It's standard company procedures, Shiroi. Like if there's bad publicity in a partnership, you sever that partnership.
Which again makes me wonder. It's like, I mean,
I guess.
ever since that Quantic Dream have been rather quiet.
Oh no! They've announced that that they've made a partnership with a Chinese company, I think, and they're gonna be the ones.
Yeah. I'm just
I
gonna
can't
say
remember
though,
what it was, but yeah, this was
the
a while
last
ago.
time we heard about a partnership with a Chinese company. was
Basically,
when-
they're gonna become a multi-plat developer, so their next game is gonna be a multi-plat. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say the last time we heard about somebody forming a deal with a Chinese company, that was KJ Inafune forming a deal with a
Yeah,
Chinese company.
and
to make it so that
recently-
Red Ash would come out.
And recently,
Red
Platinum
Ash
also
never
made
came
one.
out.
Yeah, Platinum also made one recently.
I'm just saying, deals with Chinese companies are not exactly shows of a preserved.
I'm actually more looking forward to
so-
what Carolyn Marshall is doing. For those who don't know, Carolyn Marshall was the Quantic Dream's lead designer. She was the lead designer on Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. But after Beyond Two Souls, she left. And you can probably guess what the reasons are. And she formed her own studio with other people from Quantic Dream that left with her. So basically, they've become the
yeah.
Platonic Games of Quantic Dreams of sorts. So, and apparently, she's also planning on making her own David Cage type games. That she's going to try to prove that she can David Cage better than David Cage. So I'm looking
That was
for.
hard, but good luck.
I guess she's got a bit of competition from Until Dawn.
Yeah. Well,
Remember, Jova.
you mean right now they're making Madden or
Supermassive is working for Bandai Namco for. They're doing a similar project, but it's still different.
yeah. It's
It's like I said, Until Dawn is the best David Cage game we've gotten, and
it's
it wasn't even made by him.
well, yeah. No, I'm looking forward to seeing what she does, because at the very least, now that she's outside of Quantic Dream, maybe she can do something a bit better now that she's completely unrestrained by David's narrow vision.
There we go. Basically, what you're supposed to do here is to trigger a missile launcher to follow you until the door, and then evade the last second so that the locker can be, destroyed.
And guess and guess who picked up her first project, Jova? Sega. Sega's gonna be
Sony.
Sega.
Sega.
Sega's gonna be publishing
just like
her first project.
How funny! That's how David Cage started off with Sega with Omnicron.
No, that's Idols, Jova.
Actually, that was Eidos.
Well, I'm talking about in the sense that the game was on the Dreamcast.
It wasn't the Dreamcast, but it was actually a multiplat. It was also on PC.
Weird. People only seem to really remember the Dreamcast version for some reason.
Remember, Jova, when Omicron came out, it was a different time. Nowadays, there's a lot more PC gamers. Back in '98, yeah, there were most of the PC gamers played point-and-click adventure games, which were the kind or first-person shooters, like the games that were tailor-made for click mouse. Now, action games, on the other hand, they were mostly, if at all, played on consoles, really.
Oh yeah, trust me, I remember back. I remember it used to be back when PC games were more physical in that day and age. Although, as a result, they weren't as intuitive as they can be.
Well,
certain games like Spider-Man 2 on the PC suffered for that reason.
Well, most AAA PC games nowadays, especially considering how, unlike console versions, they are not restrained by the hardware, they usually tend to go over 60 gigs in size, so they can't even be put on a dual-layer Blu-ray. So there's a lot of... there's 4K Blu-rays now, but they're a bit more expensive to mass-produce than normal Blu-rays. So most publishers are not willing to go for that cost.
PC is the one market where I'm pretty much okay with the whole, software over hardware argument here, in the sense where, yeah, with PC, a CD-ROM is unfortunately more clunky than just downloading the game for several different reasons.
Well, technically that also applies to consoles. It's just that
not really. Okay. Consoles are more so geared for the discs and whatnot. And Scott the Woz actually has a video where he showed in cases where physical releases do go more smoothly than the digital versions here and there.
I guess it depends.
Case-by-case basis.
I guess I think it varies, Jova, because for example, like on the back on the original PS3 version, the best way, technically the best, most complete version. Yes. What I was trying to say was
Ooh, Evil Peter is watching you, so
I-
I just had to point that out.
that's okay. Ni no Kuni, I have Ni no Kuni 1 on the PS3, both physically and digitally. Once again, it's a very minor advantage. Don't get me wrong, of course. Sorry.
Yeah, we're about to get.
Yeah.
Once told me that I put too much into my combo attacks and leave myself open for a few moments after them. I know I shouldn't, but I do. Thanks, I'll do that. Yeah, well, just don't let the bad guys.
Well,
Alright,
technically,
let's see what
now
happens.
you wish you did in order to stop you. So yeah.
Again, somehow this all leads to Peter
like-
becoming the bad guy. At some
It's
point.
like that quote from Star Trek: The Next Generation. I hate temporal mechanics.
Now, okay, here's another bit of a missed opportunity here. We should really get to see more about how Peter becomes Evil Peter in this timeline, because, let me remind you, in order for time to work the way it does, unless Evil Peter is outside the
Alright, here we
timeline
go.
here, that means that our Peter somehow will become him.
to this. Guess it wasn't inevitable, though. I mean, talk about your boss fights, right?
You used to be the greatest of them all.
I still am, Sport. The one, the only Spider-Man. Except no substitutes, including you.
There are no continues, my friend.
I really don't. That's one of the joys of being in charge. So if you want to make this personal,
Nothing
you can join me in the
personal,
Gateway
kid?
Room.
Alright, that basically,
End this.
yeah.
Oh
The older you,
boy.
some piece of work. Why? What happened? Meeting up in the Gateway Room. I'm really starting to hate that place. But, like
You're
you said,
telling me it's like the fourth time we
it's
enter
gonna
it.
end there.
Just to finish my thought, now I have Ni no Kuni 1 on the PS3, both physically and digitally, and for as small as insignificant advantage as it is, I can switch the text between all multi-5 languages in-game without having to reinstall the game. Because the way the installation in Ni no Kuni 1 on the PS3 works is that it installs some data from the disk in order to shorten the load times, and among that data is whatever of the multi-5 languages you've chosen. So if you want to change from the English text to the Italian text, you have to reinstall the game.
Case-to-case
That's
basis.
inconvenient.
It is inconvenient. Remember, Shiroi, the PS3 had the slow early-gen Blu-ray drive, so a lot of games had to install data in order to shorten the long load times. But the digital version, since it's all on the hard drive, it allows you to select the text language in the menu itself. So there's that. That's actually
Alright.
that's actually a rare case where the digital version on the console is a slight edge, only a slight edge over the physical version. Go ahead.
Alright, in the next part, we see you for the epic conclusion, quote unquote. So, see ya.
So yeah.
Ta-ta.
Say that.
See ya.